I love the Chamber of the House of Commons. I'm a chamber devotee or a chamber fanatic. I suppose really I regard it as the cockpit of our democracy.
It is the heart of Parliament and the heart of democracy for this country, and it's a great example to the world. That's why the Chamber is so important.
The Chamber is really the heart of our Parliament. It's the one place where members all gather together to ask questions, to debate, to legislate.
So this is the House of Commons chamber. It's said that Churchill himself got involved in a discussion about how big the chamber could be, and it was felt it would make it more intimate and a bit more argumentative if it was smaller, so that people are packed in for the big debates. The government typically sits on this side or to the right of the Speaker. The front bench is for government ministers, and on the left-hand side are the opposition, and the shadow ministers sit on these benches here too.
I don't believe that millions of people are losing confidence in our legal system. I believe that they are concerned about the ability of the European Court.
So if a member wants to reserve a seat for the day, other than the front benches which are reserved for ministers or shadow ministers, members would have to write their name on a prayer card, put it in the prayer card holder, and that would reserve their seat for the day as long as they're here for prayers, which is always the first business of the day.
On Prime Minister's questions, it's amazing how many seats are reserved and how many people come in for prayers.
So synonymous with the sitting of the House is the mace that is always present whenever the House is sitting. And the mace is carried in by the Sergeant-at-Arms each day and is placed either on the table or below the table if the House is in committee. And maces belong to the royal household. The current mace was made for Charles II, and when the House dissolves at the end of its term, they actually go back to the royal household where they're stored safely. This is called the government dispatch box. So any minister, including the Prime Minister, that is making a speech to the House or replying to questions from other members would stand at this dispatch box. It can be incredibly intimidating, particularly when the House is very busy, as is the opposition box.
If we look back in history, you know, we've had these great politicians that have been at that dispatch box, banging away, making statements.
So this is the Speaker's chair, where the Speaker sits, and he is here to keep order in the House, particularly during very loud and busy debates.
Order, perhaps we can now make some progress with short questions and short answers.
In front of the Speaker's chair are the clerks who advise the Speaker and members on procedural matters. And the Clerk of the House usually sits in this chair and the Clerk Assistant there. When members are asked to decide on a particular issue that's coming through the House of Commons, the Speaker will call a division. The division lobbies run parallel to the chamber on either side. We have the eyes behind the government side and the nose behind the opposition side. So if you're a member of Parliament and you want to vote for a particular amendment or bill, you will go through the eye lobby, or if you're against it, you'll go through no. And this is the Sergeant-at-Arms chair. We are there to represent the authority of the Speaker. Up here we have the press gallery, which is where the media sit, and Hansard, or the official reporters, and they record everything, so there is a record of what is said and done in the House of Commons chamber. And in the other galleries around either side is where the public sit, because it's a very important element to parliamentary business that it doesn't only sit, but is seen to sit. The other very special thing about the House of Commons chamber is you get a sense of the power of it, you know, and how the decisions that are taken in this place affect everybody's lives. So the stakes are always high. It's always a big occasion.
My role as Speaker, as is true of my work in the chamber more widely when chairing debates, is not to take sides, not to be on one side or the other, not in other words to be a player, but to serve as the referee of the match.
Everybody wants to get the attention of the Speaker, or whoever's in the chair, you know, whether it's the Deputy or whether it's the Speaker themselves. And people, to get noticed, stand up.
It's very much for the chair to choose who to call. Members will stand up each time someone sits down.
And I'm looking around to see who's standing up, and I then have to decide who to call. How do I decide? Well, I go back and forth from one side to the other, so there's a mix between government and opposition. I'm looking to call members of Parliament from different intakes, not just from people who came in 40 years ago, but from people who came in 2 years ago. I'm looking to get a geographical spread, and to some extent I'm looking to call people expressing a range of different views.
The Speaker and the people in the chair referred to as Mr. Speaker or Madam Deputy Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker. There's very little use of individual surnames. That's because only the Speaker will call a member by name. Other members will refer to people on their benches as my honourable friend or the honourable member for a constituency.
Does my right honourable friend suppose?
And for members opposite, normally as the honourable lady or gentleman, or again, my constituency.
Division, clear the lobby.
Votes in Parliament are often referred to as divisions. At the end of a debate, typically, the Speaker will say, the question is as on the order paper. As many as are that opinion say aye, and people will yell aye. Of the contrary, no, and very often members will yell no. And at that point, the Speaker in the chair says, division, clear the lobbies.
Voting's really exciting, and first of all you have the division bell ringing, and you have that all around the parliamentary estate. So wherever you are in Parliament, you hear the division bell going, and you have 8 minutes to when the doors are shut. So the doorkeepers who keep the doors open, after the 8 minutes have finished, shout, lock the doors, and then if you haven't made it, you've missed the vote.
We divide, and you're either in support of whatever the issue happens to be, so you go into the aye lobby, or you're against, so you go into the no lobby, and that's how we divide, and we physically divide, by the way, i.e. we walk through the division lobbies and have our names noted off a big list of paper of all the MPs. At first, when I came to Parliament, I thought, this is a cumbersome and clunky way of doing things. But actually now, after being here for 2 years, I find it an incredibly useful way for being able to get hold of a minister, because if I have a particular issue that I would like to raise with that minister that my constituents are concerned about, as a backbencher, it's one of the useful, less formal tools.
I think a lot of people are not conscious that they can come and watch the proceedings. In fact, they don't have to ask their Member of Parliament. People can turn up and queue and get in to watch the proceedings of the House.
If people wanted to visit the House and they've got access to a computer, then they can go to the Parliament website. There's a lot of information there, and they can find out how to do it if they want to do a tour, if they want to come and watch a debate, if they want to go into a committee meeting. And Parliament is very welcoming and likes having people, so we do hope people will use that facility and come and watch their Parliament.
The Chamber is also a place of real theatre, and I think the public enjoy that.
What I would say to the honourable gentleman is
the adrenaline ought to be flowing because it's exciting, and you're conscious that it's being reported very widely and viewed fairly extensively across the country and indeed beyond the UK.
This is a working museum. This is a fantastic building to be in. It's the envy of the world, home of democracy. But it all comes back down to one place in reality. That is the Chamber. That's where decisions are made.